guys. All right, so it is cold. I'm wearing my turtleneck. It is super cloudy and gray and foggy outside. It is officially like getting to be winter. German winter has come out to play apparently, so I'm trying to embrace the cold even though my California heart is struggling with the weather, I'm gonna be honest. But still, I'm hanging in there, and today I have a new video for you guys. So over the past few weeks, there's been this topic floating around on the YouTube for young people because these two YouTubers who are age 21 and 19, basically they are planning on getting married. They just got engaged. And there's been a lot of talk on YouTube and on the internet with a lot of like Generation Z people and also millennials and stuff, basically about whether or not it's okay, if it's irresponsible to get married this young, and all sorts of things like this. And as someone, if you guys don't know this about me, my husband and I were both 21 when we got married, and we were 20 when we met. We were pretty young. I'm saying young in quotations because I think it's really subjective. And I'm just gonna be sort of talking about my personal feelings and experiences about this, and yeah, just sort of commenting on this idea of whether or not it's okay to get married young. Okay, that was a lot of bunny ear quotations, sorry. Okay, anyways, if you're curious about what I have to say about this, keep watching. All right, so first, just to give a little bit of perspective about my situation. My nose is literally so itchy. I don't know why, I just can't stop itching it. I'm really sorry okay, whatever, moving on. Anyways. So when Ben and I met, we were both 20 years old, and we basically, I'm not gonna go into like our story of how we met and everything because I already made a video about that, which you can check out if you're curious about our like love story basically. But basically, yeah, we were 20 and when we got together, and then we got married exactly, like almost exactly 1 year later when we were 21. Now, this is kind of crazy because when I was younger, I mean, before I met Ben even like when I met him, I was very much speaking really openly about the fact that I believe that women can be independent and strong, you know, on their own. They don't need to get married. People don't need to be monogamous. And if you had told me that I was going to be getting married in 1 year, I would have just never believed you, like never. Also, before I met Ben, I was kind of under the impression that most men kind of suck. I'd had a handful of kind of crappy experiences dating before I met Ben, and yeah, I was just basically like, there was no plan in my mind of getting married anytime soon, basically. Or if even at all. Like, I never imagined necessarily that I even would get married. I guess all I'm trying to say is that it wasn't really important to me, basically. I certainly didn't have a problem with marriage, like I didn't think it was bad or good or anything like that. I didn't have for myself, any personal need to get married, and I certainly wasn't looking to get married when I met Ben. You know, I truly believe that marriage is not necessary for couples to, you know, have a real partnership. I think there are a lot of people in the world and in America and in Germany, just generally speaking, that are capable of really being together and having really, really strong, important relationships without necessarily getting married. Or, you know, being together for a long time, for many, many years, and then eventually getting married, but having it not be a necessity. And I think that that's totally fine. So if you would have asked me when I was, you know, 19 or 20, what I thought about getting married when you're like 19 or 20, I probably would have said one of two things. Either one, that it's irresponsible, you know, it's reckless, it's kind of stupid, or I would have said that that's something that only very religious people do. I definitely would have made judgments about somebody if I'd met them when I was 20 and they had said, oh yeah, I'm married. I don't think I would have necessarily just disliked that person, I just would have been really taken aback by that statement and been surprised. Now, it's interesting because once Ben and I really started to fall in love, our relationship moved very quickly. We were living in a really, I was gonna say a confined space. We were living in the same building essentially, so we saw each other a lot. We were together a lot of the time, which meant that our relationship really progressed very quickly. So, you know, by the time we were only a couple months into our relationship, it felt like we'd been together for a really, really significant amount of time, and we knew each other very, very well. Now, I'm not gonna justify why we chose to get married, but I will give just a little bit of an explanation. And basically the reason is this. After only being together for a few months, it was very clear already to both of us that we wanted to have a lifelong partnership. Now, in my relationships from the past, I certainly had feelings that I really loved somebody and I wanted to, be together forever or whatever we always say, but it was nothing like what I had with Ben, where I genuinely felt like I could wake up next to this person every single day and I would just never not be okay with that. Now, of course, when you're young and in love, you think these kind of things, and then somewhere down the road, something changes and you no longer feel that way anymore. I mean, that's why people break up. That's why people get divorced. I totally understand that that's a thing. But for us, it was just very clear that we wanted to be together forever. And if that meant getting married, then that was okay with us. In the end, we decided to get married because we felt like it was the right thing for us to do. We didn't have a crazy wedding. We just went to the courthouse and signed the papers ourselves. And that was that, It was just something special and important between the two of us. And we felt like for us and for our life, it was the right decision. The reality is that everybody gets to make their own decisions in life. And once you're legally an adult, you have every right to choose about what you want to do for your life. So therefore, if you're 19 years old and you want to get married, it's technically your right to get married. Do I think that every 19-year-old who's in love with their partner should get married? No, because you know what? Everybody matures at different speeds, people change at different points in their lives, and it's hard to know if when you get married at 19, you're gonna really be right with that partner, in 10, 20, 30 years, or even 2 years. I think the reason that people get so intense and against the idea of people getting married young is because we think about marriage in a very specific way. Most people, when they hear marriage, then they immediately think, okay, you're gonna buy a house together, you're gonna, invest in stuff together, sharing your money in certain ways, and you're gonna have children pretty soon. And all these things that sort of are supposed to come after marriage start to go through your head. But the reality is that getting married doesn't really have anything to do with those other things. It all just depends on where you are in your life. So Ben and I were 21 when we got married, and now we're 25. We haven't bought a house, we don't have children, and all these other things that supposedly come with marriage, if that makes sense. So while I believe that getting married is certainly a big deal and a very large adult life decision, I don't think it necessarily means that then you have to do all the other things that are supposed to come with getting married. If you're 19, you can get married and then say, we're not having kids, and then, 10 years later, have kids. I think the most important thing to consider when we're talking about getting married young is when you get married to somebody when you're young, you are basically saying that you plan to mature and grow with this person. I mean, we all know that when you're 19, you're not the same person that you are when you're 25, 30, 35 years old. Ben and I got married when we were 21, and we're definitely not the same people that we were already now at 25, but we've chosen to grow and mature together. I think at the end of the day, everybody makes the decision that's right for them. Some people meet their partner when they're 16 and they stay together for the rest of their lives and they're totally happy. Some people meet their partner when they're 35 and get divorced 2 years later. I mean, I don't necessarily think that getting married to the right person has anything necessarily to do with age, but more so that you can't really predict the future and we don't really know what's gonna happen. And true that when you're young, you change and you grow and you make mistakes 100%, but I guess what I mean is it's your mistake to make if you really want to make that choice, if that makes any sense. I guess the other thing that's sort of important is what's the worst thing that can happen if you get married? Well, I guess the worst thing would be to get divorced. So, yeah, obviously it would be a bummer to get divorced. Nobody goes into a marriage wanting to separate from their partner. But is that really the end of the world? I mean, if you're 19 and you get married to someone, and then when you're 25, you get a divorce, it's not like your life is over, And yes, of course, it's a legal process and there can be complications and stuff. But the reality is that actually the marriage part of this isn't really the problem. I guess the problems would be if you have children or you've purchased properties together, sharing your money and all those sorts of things. But really being married isn't necessarily an issue in that sense, if that makes any sense. sense. I guess I'm just kind of rambling on at this point, but I just sort of wanted to make it really clear that just because I got married when I was young doesn't mean I think it's always okay, or never okay, or everybody should get married when they're young, or they should wait, or whatever. I think it's really just honestly a personal decision, and we should all just sort of stay out of each other's business almost. I mean, why do I have any right to criticize somebody else for the decisions they're making for their life? I get that people worry about young people making the wrong decision, but like I said before, then it's just their wrong decision to make, and that's just how life works. Okay, you guys, I think I have gone on long enough about this topic. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, and if you would like to subscribe to my channel, that would be amazing, but if you don't want to, I will not hold it against you. That's it for me in this video. I'm wishing you guys a super happy middle of October. I don't know what that was, but yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.